Hello, I'm Alan, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. It's February 5th, and it's time for the February Metric Century for our Metric Century a Month Challenge for 2023. This is going to be an exciting one because we've got a completely new route today, so we'll see how it works out. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Well, without further ado, let's ride.
All I can say is this was really quite a ride, especially after compared to January. I think January when we started, it was in the low 30s. On this particular day, it was in the mid to upper 20s when we started. I think it warmed into the mid to upper 40s, and we were out so long that it cooled back down into the low 30s by the time we were done. Of course, our goal was to complete this before nightfall. I'm not sure we were successful with that. If we were, it was just barely. You watch the video, you be the judge of that, and let me know in the comments. In terms of the ride itself, this particular ride was 66.29 miles, which converts to 106.7 kilometers. So definitely a metric century. In terms of climbing on this route, we had a total elevation gain of 3,980 feet. Now that's compared to January's climb of 2,785 feet. So we did over 1,200 feet more climbing than we did in January. January's ride had only one major climb on it. This one had 8. The first climb was 210 feet elevation gain. It had a length of 1.12 miles and an average gradient of 3%. The next one was 164 feet vertical gain, 0.77 miles in length, and an average gradient of 4%. The next one was 285 feet of elevation gain over 0.97 miles and an average gradient of 5%. The next one was 157 feet of elevation gain over 0.65 miles with an average gradient of 4%. The next one, climb number 5, was 276 feet of elevation gain over 1.03 miles with an average gradient of 5%. Climb number 6 was 118 feet of elevation gain over 0.6 miles with an average gradient of 3%. The next one, climb number 7, this one was a killer. This one was on a road called Skyline Drive after we got back to New Jersey. It had an elevation gain of 515 feet over 1.35 miles with an average gradient of 7%. There were parts of it where the gradient, I think, was over 15%. It was a killer. The last major climb was 197 feet with over 0.61 miles with an average gradient of 6%. The total elapsed time for today's ride was 8 hours, 42 minutes, 30 seconds, with a moving time of 6 hours, 17 minutes, 51 seconds. Now, those statistics came from my Garmin app. However, we did not stop for 2.5 hours at any point along this ride. We did, however, end up walking up many of these climbs, and I think the Garmin did not count into our moving time the time that we were walking. Our average speed, and again, this might not have included the walking time, our average speed was 10.5 miles per hour with a maximum speed of 33.7 miles per hour. And on this ride, my average heart rate was 111 beats per minute with a maximum heart rate of 145 beats per minute. And according to Garmin, I burned 1,582 calories. In terms of where we rode on this particular day, this was the first ride where I actually ran out of space in New Jersey and ended up riding into a neighboring state. We started in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, which is up in northern New Jersey. We rode through Rayburn, Glen Rock, Ridgewood Junction, Ridgewood, Ho-Ho-Kus, Waldwick, Allendale, Ramsey, Mahwah, and then after Mahwah we crossed into New York, into Suffern, New York, then Hillburn, Ramapo. We rode along the Ramapo River for a pretty good while, into Sloatsburg, Tuxedo, Southfields, Monroe. Then we had a very long stretch with no towns whatsoever. It was completely rural. Then into Lakeville. Finally back to New Jersey in Ringwood, New Jersey. And then Erskine Lakes and Erskine. And this was where we encountered Skyline Drive, which was a killer. And then Oakland, North Haledon, Prospect Park, and then Búnker Hill and Riverside, which are two sections of Patterson, and finally back into Fair Lawn. Actually, it was kind of interesting because when we got to where we should have crossed into Fair Lawn, we came upon a bridge that was under construction and we could not go across. So we started to deviate to the next bridge, and by that point we were both exhausted. It was starting to get dark out, and rather than following the course, I already knew at that point we were going to be well over 100 kilometers. So I had Teresa go ahead, since she knew the area, and just take us home. I didn't even follow the GPS at that point. Well, I hope you enjoyed the ride. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of it. And I'll talk to you a little more later.
Well, I have to say that route was much more challenging than the route we took in January. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, stay safe out there.